Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna get into this spring buttery yellow makeup look right here. If you guys would like to see how I did this look, please be sure to continue on watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, we're just gonna get right into it. I miss you guys so much, by the way. I know it's been a minute, but yeah, let's just get right to it. So I'm starting off with a completely bare face. My skin is nice and prepped, and then I'm going to go right in with the shadow. I'm starting off with my eyebrows already done, by the way. And to apply the yellow, I am taking two color bases. These are by Beauty Creations. One is the yellow called Limelight, and there's like a beigeish tannish one. It's called Ballerina Girl. I did mix those two shades together to give me like a nice buttery yellow shade, and I am applying that on my brow bone first. And then just to set that yellow on my brow bone, I am going in with the Juvia's Place Warrior 3 palette and just using that yellow to set the base. So to start off with shadow first, I'm going in with my bronzer. This is the Juvia's Place bronzer in the tan shade. I'm taking both colors and just taking a big fluffy brush and just applying that towards the beginning of my brow and towards the outer corner of my eyelid, and I'm just using that first as a transition shade. So next I'm going in with the Beauty Wild Side eyeshadow palette. I'm taking this more deeper brown, it's called Tawny, and I'm taking a smaller brush and using that towards the outer edge of the shadow where we applied the previous color, and I'm bringing that color slightly towards the beginning, slightly towards the beginning of my brow. And now we're going to cut the crease. So I'm taking that same yellow shade we applied on the brow bone, and I'm just using that color to cut my crease. So now that we cut the crease, this is how it's looking. I'm gonna go back in with that tawny shade and that smaller blending brush and just use that to close off the cut crease towards the outer edge. And then we're gonna go back in with the Warrior 3 palette and take that yellow shade again and just use that to set the base. And that is pretty much it for the shadow. Now to line my lid, I'm going in with the e.l.f. waterproof eyeliner. I'm not going for a wing or anything. I'm just simply lining my upper lid, and I'm applying that first, and then I'm gonna go in with the Nude Persuasion palette by Beauty and take this dark brown shade and just use that to smoke out the liner. So now we're going to move right into skin. To prime my face, I'm taking the NYX Face Glue Primer, and then I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Liquid Poreless Putty Primer and just use that on my porous areas or any areas that I want to smoothen out my skin. And then we're gonna go right into foundation. So for foundation, I did mix two foundations. This is the About Face foundation in the shade MD2. This is a newer foundation I added to my collection, and I've been loving it so far. It's a really nice natural skin-like finish, but I do want just a bit more coverage, so I am gonna go in with the Maybelline Super Matte Foundation and just dot that right on top, and this is in the shade 330. So now that we blended out the foundation, I'm going in with the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Golden. This is my ride or die baby right here. I am running low. This concealer is almost done. I do have another one that I haven't opened yet, but I want to get my money's worth with this concealer, okay? But just to add just a little bit more coverage, I am going in with the Kem Beauty concealer. This is in the shade Banofee. I think that's how you pronounce it, and I'm just applying that right on top. And to contour and bronze my face, I'm going in with the P.Louise liquid bronzer in the shade Hazelnut Heart, and then we're gonna blend from darkest to lightest. So I'm starting off with blending the contour shades first, and then I'm gonna go in afterwards and blend out the highlighted areas. I am blending out the under eyes last. The longer you let your concealer sit on your face, the more coverage builds up. So I am going in and blending my under eyes last. Also, too, I want to point out I am blending with 3 different tools: my beauty blender, the Real Techniques setting brush, and my foundation brush. This just helps me get a nice seamless blend. And now we're gonna go into blush. So I'm taking the e.l.f. liquid blush. This is in the shade Pinky Promise, and I'm just applying that on the high points of my cheeks. And then we're gonna go in with another concealer. This one is just a brightening concealer. This is the One Size concealer in the shade Medium 4. I'm applying that on the same areas we highlighted, but I am keeping the blend more concentrated in the areas that I want the most brightness. Now, just to set everything in place, I'm going in with the One Size translucent setting powder. So now we're just reinforcing all of the areas with powder. So I'm taking my powder bronzer, the same Juvia's Place bronzer in the shade Tan, and just using that to bronze my face. And then to set the blush, I'm going in with the Juvia's Place Volume 1 blush. I first took this peachy shade, but I did change my mind and added another more pale pink shade on top, so I'm gonna do that a little bit later. But I am going to bake right now, so I'm going back in with the One Size translucent powder and just using that to bake the bottom half of my face. And this is where I applied that Dusty Rose kind of shade, so I'm just applying that, and then we're gonna bake our under eyes with the Huda Beauty setting powder in the shade Banana Bread. So now we're moving back to the eyes. I'm taking this NK eyeliner pencil in the shade Brown and just using that to line my waterline. And then I'm going back in with that tawny shade and just using that to smoke out my lower lash line. And for my inner quarter, I'm going back in with that Nude Essentials palette and just taking that white shade and just applying that in my inner corner. And for mascara, before applying lashes, I'm taking the Maybelline Sky High mascara and just using that on my top and bottom lashes. Now, before I dust off the powder on my face, I do use my setting spray. This is the One Size Powder Melt Setting Spray. This is very similar to the MAC Fix Plus spray, so if you have that, you honestly don't need this one. They kind of work kind of the same. But just to dust off the remaining setting powder, I'm taking the Estee Lauder pressed powder and just using that on top of all the areas that we baked to dust off the remaining powder. I'm not using this underneath my eyes though, because I don't want my under eyes to get darker. I do still want the brightness. And y'all, tell me why that powder just broke while I was filming. Crazy. But I do want my under eyes to remain bright, so I'm taking a brighter foundation powder. This is the L'Oreal Powder Foundation, the Infallible Powder Foundation in the shade 120, and I'm just applying that underneath my eyes. And as you can see, this is a very bright powder. But yeah, we're just gonna blend that out so it's not so crazy looking. But I applied my lashes, and now we're gonna move on to lips. So I'm taking the NK, this is the Jumbo eyeliner pencil in the shade brown, and I'm just using that to line my lips. And then I'm going in with the Juvia's Place lipstick in the shade Lady and just using that as my lipstick. Y'all, I was debating for a smooth minute if I wanted to add a gloss, but essentially I just left it the way that it was. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous, so I just left the lip without a gloss. And for a final set, I'm taking the Milk Matte Setting Spray. And yeah, this is the final look. So this is the final look, you guys. An easy, colorful look for spring. If you guys like this look, please let me know in the comment section down below. I love you all so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace.